Well, I woke up on the lobby floor. Yeah, last night was some kind of war. I'm coming down like a waterfall. I check my phone, but you never call. Lost in the ceiling, caught up in the ceiling. I can't seem to let it go. Locked in this cage, I've been stuck here for days, and I can't seem to let you go. You pull me up and I put you down. You gave me love, then I stole your crown. You let me in, then I pushed you out. Come let me make up for all these pain. I've been a mess, tied by all these chains. Open my eyes, now I finally see. Shut the key, yeah. Can we be free? You pull me up, yeah. Can we be free? And I put you down. Up and saw everything but you next to me. I know that I've been the enemy, but I've had my moment of gravity. Lost in the ceiling, caught up in the ceiling. I can't seem to let it go. Locked in this cage, I've been stuck here for days, and I can't seem to let you go. You pull me up and I put you down. You gave me love, then I stole your crown. You let me in, then I pushed you out. Come let me make up for all these pain. I've been a mess, tied by all these chains. Open my eyes, now I finally see. Shut the key, yeah. Can we be free? You pull me up, yeah. pushed you out, pushed you out, pushed you out. Don't let me make up for all these pain. I've been a mess by all these chains. Open my eyes now, I finally see the dark key. Yeah. You pull me up and I put you down. You gave me love, then I stole your crown. You let me in, then I pushed you out, pushed you out, pushed you out. Don't let me make up for all these pain. I've been a mess by all these chains. Open my eyes now, I finally see the dark key. Yeah, can we be free? You pull me up. Yeah, can we be free? And I put you down.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley. My name is Edson Ochoa. Wow, I can't even say my name correctly today. My name is Edson Ochoa, and accompanying me today, as always, is the co-host that everybody loves. No sarcasm here, honestly. Jacob Young. Jacob, how you doing, brother?
Doing great. Looking forward to this. Dynamo game's on as well, and very fun. I mean, he also decided to lose his mind once again, so that's not too shocking.
I want him out. I'm just gonna say it right now. I want him out for next season.
Yep.
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if people get mad at me for saying this, but I want him out. I mean, it's ridiculous that him and Elise are constantly getting into the situations where they lose their cool, and they put the team in a huge predicament. I mean, it's ridiculous that in the 30th minute, 29th minute, you put an elbow to behind somebody's head. Yep. Like, what the hell?
Yep.
Like, that's stupid. I'm sorry. Es algo estúpido. And if he's not going to mature, then we don't want him here. I don't care how good he is. I don't care if he's one of our best players on the attack. But if you're going to be putting the team in a situation where you're not going to be available anyway, then why would we want you here? Why are we going to pay you money? Or why is the Dynamo, because I'm not paying him a cent, why is the Dynamo going to pay you money to be a part of this team if you're just going to spend the time being suspended or for X and Y reason? We don't want that.
Exactly.
I mean, we already have Memo. We now have two new players coming in, Christian Ramirez and I'm trying to remember. It was Nico. Can't remember his last name, but he comes from Columbus Crew, and he's a winger. So we don't need Kyoto. We don't need this BS from him. And honestly, I'm tired. And if Elise, I loved La Panterita. I mean, I have his bobblehead. But if he doesn't mature, just like Kyoto, then why would we want you here? You're becoming more of a liability than an asset to this team.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's so true what you just stated there. And of course, I want to say something on that note is we keep getting these players from, countries like that. Technically, of course, yes, it's Central America, it's Honduras, whatever. But we've seen it time and time again, even with Tomas Martinez, which I do give him credit now. He's kind of matured. We've seen a bit more of maturity from not Manotas really, but Tomas Martinez. There we go. and that's a good thing. So we want to see growth like that. But if they can't grow, then it goes back to that stereotypical, that's the way that those players play soccer. And that's why I love the new signing.
I don't
Ramirez.
think that this. I really don't think that this is a nationality issue, as more of an issue with, them not being too. This is something on them themselves. This is their personality coming through. I mean, there's ways to show aggression, but being like aggressive to actually harm somebody, that is unwarranted.
Exactly.
To me, and I don't know what needs to be done, but he has to go.
Yeah. And I mean, why I think the way that I think, or why I thought of that comment, was just due to the fact that, well, you see the way that the aggression is in the MLS. You've seen it from Ethan Finley to different types of players, the way that they play. Well, that's always going to be the style of, well, at least for now, American soccer. There's English soccer. There's different ways of played across the world. But for this one, it's more fast-paced. And yes, it can get aggressive, but we don't want players losing their cool like Kyoto has, Elise has. And that's why I'm saying, if you're not going to understand how this game is played, where you can't get away with being way too aggressive in general, then I'm sorry, you've got no place in MLS soccer in general, let alone soccer. You might be able to get away with it over in somewhere else that have worse refs. As much crap as I give these refs in pro, yeah, you've got to understand that's the way that they're always going to be. You can't lose your cool over them and just do stuff like we've seen in the past 3 weeks.
But how much influence does Wilmer Cabrera have on this? Not in influence as in stopping, like helping them mature.
I mean, some, maybe none. And why I say that is just due to the fact it's the player. They're on a step to where you've got to understand the coach can only do so much. They can say, dude, you got to stop this crap. And if the player consistently doesn't stop it, then there's a problem. We've seen the history of how Elise and Kyoto have played. Why does Elise have so many yellow cards now? And why is he suspended for this match? Because of a yellow card accumulation. Right there should tell you, yeah, there's a problem with their aggression, let alone, yeah, maybe Coach Wilmer Cabrera isn't necessarily stopping this, but what is there to stop when you tell the player, dude, quit this, and the player continues? Now, of course, you got to let him go, but yeah, it's at the end of this transfer window. You're not just going to release them out of the blue. Well, maybe there's something that we don't know that will happen in the next 5-6 hours, but let alone, I mean, what can there be done from a coach besides saying stop it?
It'd be interesting to get, to have some insight on what a coach, manager can do in these situations, because right off the bat, I'm seeing, honestly, like, I think Wilmer hasn't done enough to mold these two guys to lose their hot-headedness. Yeah. But you're, on the flip side, you're supposed to be a coach. You are not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whatever you want to call it. You're out there, you're supposed to put tactics and that, and get this team together. Like, you're not their mom, you're not their dad to, oh, mijito, look, don't get mad, blah, 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 blah. You're 23, 24 already. You should know how to control your temper. Yes, of course, in the middle of the game, tempers might flare up. You might disagree with a referee's call or you might kind of lose your. You might be annoyed that your marker is, kind of throwing you like little hits at you to try to make you lose your concentration. But right off the bat at the first one, you start swinging. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But that's what I wanted to say. Seeing from the first half of this match, and but let's get back to what we're here to talk about, and that is RGVFC. So Scooby Boo 2207, hello. Thanks for spamming the chat. But welcome to the show. Cisco says childish players. Yes, I definitely agree, and I don't think we need them. But, anyways, last Saturday, I know what you did last Saturday, RGVFC hosted Reno 1868 at HB Park.
Yep.
And, this was a match where everybody, including me, thought we were going to lose. Thought we were going to be outplayed by Reno. Yes, we did lose. But surprisingly, we were not outplayed by Reno 1868.
Yeah, it was an interesting match for sure. It's one of these things where you expected what you got, except for the fact that on levels where RGVFC once again looked, just like you said, they looked better than Reno. They looked like they could easily have won that game from that night. Just once again, we had talked about it throughout the season, and we even heard from head coach Jerson this past Saturday. Little mistakes basically lost us the game.
Mm-hmm.
And not just little mistakes, but mistakes that have been made throughout either the season or throughout constant seasons that we've seen. Why they're so good is the reason they can take advantage of these little mistakes that teams like us give them. Of course, I'm talking about Phoenix Rising is one of them. And because they took advantage of our little mistake to lose for RGVFC to lose 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was an interesting game that, once again, we can easily overcome and forget about and beat up on a Colorado Springs Switchbacks on the road, as well as maybe a San Antonio FC. But, of course, just, once again, set pieces.
No, set pieces. Set pieces. It always happens and never fails. And somehow we end up talking about the same thing over and over again. Not only with the Toros, but with the Dynamo as well. This has to be a system thing. I don't know, but it's one of those things that we know are practiced during the week. How to defend set pieces, how to attack set pieces. It seems to be more that maybe the players aren't getting it. Maybe the players haven't found a way to implement what they're being taught in practice when they're out there on the pitch. I don't know. It's just surprising. How many years have we had the same thing when defending set pieces? Okay, now I'm getting a headache. The first goal for Reno off a corner kick. And why is it not showing me the actual replay? Come on, it's really. So apparently the USL website is not showing me the highlights video on their webpage.
Because you got to go to YouTube.
Well, usually they have it embedded right there. Excuse me. Filter this week. So This month. You know what? It's not on there. It's not on YouTube.
Well, that's why.
You know
Very
that.
fun.
Oh no! Here. Well, that's because they barely created it 3 hours ago. But come on. All right. The first goal came really early in the match. It was around, what was it, the 9th minute or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It was, so it came in at the 9th minute. That is correct. Off of a corner, and I'm looking at the replay, and you can see, I'm looking at who was supposed to be marking him. Because the goal was scored by Thomas Janjigian or something like that. Excuse me for botching that name, Hardcore Gacho. But, looking at the replay, it seems to me that Kyle Adams was supposed to be marking him, and he completely lost view of, not lost view, but the attacker managed to hustle his way into position and out-muscle Kyle Adams to get to the ball. And the shot, the header was taken right outside the 6-yard box, Mm-hmm. So I just find it to me, it's kind of worrisome, the ease of how Kyle Adams was outmuscled in that play. Because it wasn't like he the attacker left him, outpaced him, because he was, right there. Kyle Adams was right there next to him. But he was able to muscle his way into position to be able to get a touch on that ball, on that cross.
Yeah, it's something about this team that they just, they don't have the physicality that other teams have. Like you just said, Kyle Adams gets muscled away by his defender. And we've seen that kind of time and time again, not just necessarily that they can't necessarily mark, mm-hmm. but it's just that the team they basically have stronger players. And so that becomes a problem for just our team in general. And especially coming from set pieces, it gets tougher to apparently mark when your attacker is basically playing as a defender and muscle the guy off in the box. And so it's just, frustrating, but it's something that can be worked on game in and game out. And we know that it is, but just problems like that will still probably occur. It's just getting more physical and making sure that you don't commit a foul, but you can be more aggressive.
Now, could it be that... See, I'm trying to look who we have as center backs. We have Kyle Adams, we have Connor Donovan, we have Robert Castellanos, and to me, it seems like we have... All three of them are more of technical. They're more technical center backs than physical.
Yeah.
And I feel like that may be something that we're missing. Don't get me wrong, though. As a line, this defense is really good. Mm-hmm. Because the fact of the matter is, we limited Reno 1868, which was coming on fire these past few weeks. We limited it to 2 goals. And the second goal, I still think it was harakiri that we made on ourselves, on that counterattack, and we'll get to that later on. But other than that, this line of defense with Andrew Samuels, Kyle Adams, or Connor Donovan, or Robert Castellanos, and Robert Coronado or Sam Junqua, has done really decent, being able to limit the chances of the opposition. But it's those little details that to us might be lacking. And in these circumstances, when you're going up against a team that knows how to position themselves on set pieces, being able to outmuscle your opponent is really, really important if you want to get, if you want to defend set pieces. Now, thankfully, I don't recall them having any other dangerous opportunities off of a set piece. But, when the issue is that when they do have a clear opportunity, they're able to capitalize against us on the set piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course that's not something that you, of course, want to see game in, game out. But we've seen that, we've had opportunities to just not necessarily change it, but just make things a lot better for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and going back to what you said about playing well against Reno, yeah, we're limiting them. We're limiting teams in general to just we're messing with their offense, basically. We're messing with how much stats they get game in and game out, and that's fantastic. So that the defense is doing really well. It's just the minor little slip-ups that are making us lose games. So with these next two games coming into play, the Colorado Springs Switchbacks and, of course, San Antonio FC will prove a lot because, yes, Harry's not necessarily going to like this, but this is true. They're weaker teams than the teams that we had played against not too far back from.
Okay.
Las Vegas, Reno, and even, of course, Phoenix. Yes, it's big time. Of course, our last win came from, I'm blanking on the team.
We defeated Sacramento Republic.
Sac Republic, yes. So Sac Republic, I say, is closer to San Antonio and maybe a bit better. But point being, we've shown that we can win. It's just cleaning up the errors. It's easier said than done, of course. We're not a player, but it feels better than it should, but at the same time, we know that this team can do so much better.
Agreed. And I think another issue that I do want to touch up right now, and I think it's one of those things that it kind of has to be said. We always harp on, it's the Dynamo's fault that we've gone into this slump. Oh, the Dynamo this, the Dynamo that. I'm not going to back out of that observation by myself. I'm not going to back out. But it's not the only reason why we haven't gotten the results that we need. Simply, it's just as simple as being accurate on those crosses. It's how can you expect your striker, whether it's Michael Salazar or Caliche Small, how do you expect to give your striker the opportunity on goal, the clear chance on goal, when you're sending crosses that are too high or two to the back or two to the front? You don't give your striker an opportunity to prove what he's got. And right now, our wingers, whether it's Camilo Monroy, whether it's Chuy Enriquez or Kevin Rodriguez, just in general, our wingers are having a hard time getting accurate crosses. And this isn't something I'm just saying, just because. Let's take a look at the stats for this match. Crossing accuracy for this match against Reno, 28% out of 25 crosses. which is huge, which is an improvement, you can say, from 19% against, who was it? Remind me, I think it was against Las Vegas. Las Vegas, you only had 19% accuracy in your crosses. You're telling me, based on this percentage, that out of 25 crosses into the box, only 7 of them managed to find their way to your teammate. Other than that, it either went out or went to an opponent or went to the keeper. Those are rookie numbers, man. You gotta pump those numbers. And then I don't know how to do a Matthew McConaughey impression. I would have done that. But the point is there that if you really want opportunities on goal, you gotta practice. You gotta practice those shots. You gotta take it seriously. You gotta take that seriously. You gotta understand that if coach or us are saying this, it's because it's blatantly obvious. When you're in a match, when you are controlling the opportunities, when you're controlling possession, when you have opportunities outside the box, you have to take advantage of those opportunities and score them. Because if you don't, what good is it for you to have possession if you can't put that ball in the back of the net, in the net?
Yeah, exactly. It's been crazy. We've seen it time and time again, even throughout the Reno game too. The crosses were just not necessarily accurate or on point, and so that became a problem. We've seen it time and time again, and it also goes back to take advantage of your opportunities, especially because these players, we've talked about it so much, they have so much potential and they can play so much better than they are. It's just those details, even from the strikers, the wingers, like you said, just need to put the ball in a good slot, a great slot in a way, at least as long as it's decent. And what we mean by that is not where no one is, because we've seen that happen a lot. Now, of course, we know it's being worked on, but just they need to take it either more seriously, just be better about it, more disciplined on a cross, on a corner we've seen too, or it's not been that well. It's like you said, 19% to 16% to whatever percent on crosses. That is embarrassing. I know that the players are listening, but this is true. It's embarrassing. You got to do a better job on something like that. We know it's being practiced, but it's just got to be better. That's where those opportunities, especially on offense, are missed. Because we also can go back to the defense. They can only do so well for so long before they slip up, whether it be on a opposite, of course, set piece, or just slip up on defense where they miss their marker, or something very small where they can't run and catch up to someone because it's been tiring from trapping all those counterattacks. So it goes both ways to where, offense has to do their job, same with the defense, but when the offense can't score, it's going to be a lot tougher for the defense, and that's one way to really score besides taking a far shot and making it go in the back of the net.
And one of the biggest problems this match, and I honestly I liked the way the Toros played for the most part offensively, because they tried a lot of different tactics. They tried shots from outside the box. They've tried, trying to dribble in, trying to look for those 1-2 passes, trying to cross. But when you have a team that is bunkered up, because that's what happened. Reno 1868 whether by pressure by the Toros offense or tactical decision by the Reno coach, Reno parked the bus, especially in the second half. So the Toros tried to find a way to get through. They tried a lot of outside the box shots, which is, one of the things that my dad always tells me, is when I was starting to learn about soccer and I was a kid. And I still remember it because, every time I watch a game, we start talking about this, is when you have a team that's parking the bus and you have, your two lines of four that are defending. What's with all the cussing in the background? Anyways. So what the two things that in general you need to try to do to try to break apart a bunker down team is 1-2 passing and outside the box shots. And the Toros tried outside the box shots. The goal came from a beautiful play by Andres Arcila. He had faith in himself. He was able to slip past two Reno defenders and got the shot from it was still inside the box, but it was still kind of far. Like, he didn't try to go all the way into the 6-yard box and then shoot. Like, he dribbled past the two defenders and took the shot. It was still kind of a little far away. But the Toros continued to try to make those shots from outside the box. But the Reno defense was positioned so well that most of the shots were blocked. I think in the second half, just in the second half by itself, Reno blocked 8 clear shots on goal. The Reno defense blocked 8 clear shots on goal that the Toros made. So it's just a matter of, if you're seeing that, they're positioned that they're blocking my shots, and you're given opportunities to cross because they have the number of you look at the stats, you see the number of crosses that the Toros made during the match. It tells you, okay, Reno somehow seeded opportunity to get crosses inside the box. So if we had made more accurate crosses, we could have had more opportunities. We could have tied the game. And yes, hindsight is 2020, but you gotta give your strikers the opportunity to get that ball in the net. We have tough attackers. We have strong attackers. We have attackers that it's going to be very hard to outmuscle them, whether it's Michael Salazar or Carlos Small. Use that to your advantage and get that ball in there, but get it in where he's going to be. It does us no good if you're going to be sending the ball way out of position from where they're at. So. Yeah. I urge you guys to get that better, because if we're seeing it and other more casual fans are seeing that, it just means that this is so obvious. Like, this is such a glaring issue that needs to be addressed right now if we want to continue to prove that where we're at right now in the standings does not necessarily reflect how well this team plays, especially at home.
Exactly. And it feels like we're talking about this every single year around this time, that this team just comes together and plays so much better closer to the end of the year when they're trying to fight for a playoff spot. Now, that's, of course, really normal, but then we talk about kind of the same exact little details that have the problems. And, Reno getting scared at the end of that game was, yes, a good sign, or someone would even argue that it was a great sign. But we couldn't do anything with it. Now, the way to avoid that is really getting on the ball before a team decides to back up, because I think parking the bus, backing up, is a lot tougher than, of course, if you were still playing with a regular, just a balanced kind of setup. And what I mean by that is just the tactics. And Reno playing with, let's say, which I don't necessarily know what they were playing with, but like a 4-3-2-1 or something like that. If they were playing with that,
They were playing a 4-3-1-2.
4-3-1-2. Okay, there we go. Same sort of deal is that they've got a normal, attacking system, a normal defensive system going on at the moment. That's the time that you take those chances. You push, as long as, of course, yes, Reno or some other team isn't necessarily beating you to that momentum. And so when you put that together, you're probably taking those 8 shots. You're probably more likely to get one of those shots in than if Reno were parking the bus, basically, and making it very difficult for a team to score. Because once again, that's when we know that the Toros have also had more problems this season, is when teams like them back up and park the bus, just due to the fact that, well, you can't score now, but you have possession.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have possession and don't know what to do with it, well, then it's worthless.
So just a quick update. The Houston Dynamo versus NYCFC match has been delayed due to severe weather.
Yep.
But anyways, we got. Oh, I'm watching the replay for the Reno's second goal. What frustrates me out of this is, and now I'm looking at the second goal, right? But for what frustrates me out of this is that right before we had a clear opportunity on goal that the keeper made a fantastic save. Let me see his name, Matt Bersano. Bersano made a fantastic save, and that could have been the 2-1 RGV lead, but he made that save, and right in the next play, the ball gets headed back to Andrew Samuels. He completely, I don't know what he was trying to do, if he was trying to clear it, if he was trying to cross it, like, I had no idea what he was doing. Because to me, it seemed like he tried to put all of his strength behind that contact with the ball. Like, he swung at it really hard. Because he swung it like that, and because the ball height was at an awkward height to go for a volley, he whiffed. Or he didn't completely whiff, but he didn't make the necessary contact. So all we got was a screwdriver that landed straight back to Reno. And you look at Apodaka's run. He's coming in from right outside the box. Reno recovers. There's a huge space between Andrew Samuels, who is trying to get that ball back, and I believe it's who's that? Is that Chewy? Yeah. So Andrew Samuels was technically the last man, and Chuy Enriquez was trying to play catch up on Apodaca. Like, that kind of defending, or yes, we didn't expect losing the ball that bad, that quickly, but the fact that they left the spaces so, I don't know, it was so unorganized in that aspect that we could have at least had, I don't know, Kyle or Castellanos there, as a backup in those cases. I mean, Andrew Samuels was way in the middle. And he's the back line. He's the one that messes up. Apodaca is running in behind Andrew Samuels' back. So Samuels had no idea that Apodaca had made the run. he gets behind Andrew Samuels, but because he's in his own half of the field, there's no offsides at all. So he receives the ball from behind the midfield line. He's got a whole midfield just to run by himself against Nico Corti. And Nico Corti did everything right. To me, he did everything right, trying to diminish the angle that Apodaca could have shot at, whether it's trying to curl it to the side of him or try to cheek it to lift it up over him. But Apodaca, was able to slot that ball in between Corti's legs and get it in on goal. So that was just clinical finishing by Apodaca. But still, my main point in this goal is that just one little whiff, one little mistake by Andrew Samuels completely disorganized the whole defense, and we looked bad out there in that play. Reno made us pay, and I applaud the effort by Samuels, the effort by Chuy to try to get back into it, but you've got to make better decisions than that. And there's got to be better communication between your defenders to notify each other if there's somebody making a run, or way to position themselves. Okay, so you lost the ball, right? I'm looking it back, because Samuels whiffs it, and he's trying to follow. I believe it's, what's his name? Corey, is it? No, Lindo Mfeka. So he's trying to follow Mfeka, but he's already got another defender there that could have easily, marked him. They completely lost track of Aiden Apodaca, and that was the key right there.
Yeah, exactly. It was, and just like you said, the effort was there. It was just, kind of too late, and just some bad things happened for that goal to happen. But of course, like you said, Nico Corti, and I do recall you saying that inside the press box, Corti held his line. He knew where to be to try to just protect the lanes, because of course, you shoot anywhere else, really, it's not going to work except for where the striker shot. And so it was into the back of the net. Yes, of course, we could say this goal could have not happened for sure, but in the end, yes, we can learn from that for sure, is how we can take that play away. Things like that, of course, happen. We didn't want it to, but for sure now we've learned, okay, we can't necessarily do that against a team like a Colorado Springs Switchbacks, like basically anyone in the league, just because counterattacks will be dangerous 9 times out of 10. And just on the way back, of course, we just got to be more careful and not necessarily push up, especially too early. I think that's sometimes the problems with our team, is that we like to push up just a bit too much.
One of the things that I'm noticing, I'm looking at the replay now, and now that you mention it, you say we're pushing up too early. I'm looking at where our players are positioned, and I see Kyle Adams inside the box. I see it looks like Andres Arcila in the midfield like he's supposed to. I cannot find Isidro. Hold on, am I missing somebody? Sometimes I hate the low resolution of these images in the USL broadcasts. But Kyle Adams is outside of the box, which I understand. He's tall. He's he's shown that he can be good when it comes to set pieces. Because if I'm not mistaken, that beginning of that play was a corner kick in favor of us, right? I
believe so.
Yeah. But my biggest worry here is, where is Robert? Where is Chunkwa?
Mm-hmm.
Samuels is in the middle, but we know Kyle Adams is up there. But like I said, where's Arcila? Where's Coronado? And where is Chunkwa? But more importantly, where, Arcila and Chunkwa? Because one of the things that we saw, and we commended it when I think it was against Real Monarchs, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. It was the match where Brad Dunwell was playing. But one of the things that I liked about it was, whenever Kyle Adams went up, you would see Brad Dunwell come down and become another center back to kind of fill in the gap that Kyle Adams leaves, right?
Yeah.
I understand Andres Arcila has a lot more offensive tendencies than Brad Dunwell, than Romilio. But if you're going to have, because here's the biggest thing, and I love it. I love Eric Bird. I love the Birdman. He's one of my favorite players ever since he's been here with RGV. But technically, Eric Bird was supposed to be our second defensive midfielder. So the problem isn't really Arcila. Where is Arcila's position? Arcila was positioned correctly, outside the box, trying to find a gateway, open up a gateway for that, the Andrew Samuels to find a gateway to pass the ball to, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But and Isidro technically is the one that takes the corners, right?
Yep.
Where was Eric Bird here? You're leaving, and we saw that. I don't know if it was against Real Monarchs or it was against Reno 1868, but in Reno. But we had that same situation where you, going up for a corner, you left Andrew Samuels and you left, I think at that time it was Carlos Viveros. You left those two to defend for a counter, and guess what? You got killed on a counter in that play as well.
Yeah.
It seems like history keeps repeating itself. I don't see Andrew Samuels as somebody that has the experience, enough aggressiveness to stop a counter. Yes, he might be quick, but sometimes it's not about quickness. Sometimes it's about knowing where to position yourself, knowing where to make contact to make the attacker lose his balance, create a tactical foul, whatever. Right now, Andrew Samuels, to me, does not have the experience enough to know when to do it. And when he's been burned back there because Connor and Kyle went up to it to attack a corner, it leaves us very, very vulnerable to the counter. And I have a feeling that Reno 1868 somehow saw that and was able to capitalize on that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't alleviate this right now, other teams are going to take notice. Now, when you have a pair of center backs, only one, to me, if I was a coach, only one of them should go up and attack a corner. Keep one of them, keep the other one back there to defend it.
Yep.
You already have enough attackers out there. You have Caliche, you have Bird, you have Isidro taking the corner, you have Arcila outside the box, you have Chuy, you have Camilo, or who else played? Camilo played as Kevin Rodriguez, Michael Salazar. You already have all of those out there, attacking, whether inside the box or just outside the box. Why do you need both defenders up there? And like I said, I don't know for sure where Robert Castellanos is in this replay for this goal because of how low quality the resolution is in the replay. But I can tell you for sure that this exact thing that I'm describing happened in another match before where we lost 4-0. And if I remember it correctly, it was against Reno at Reno.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's just, like you said, history repeating itself. And, I mean, it's things that can for sure be fixed, but only time will tell if we can really learn from them. Because at the moment, we're not necessarily learning from them as much as just, like you're saying, repeating them. And that's not what we want, especially coming later into this season. How late are we? We're already in August here, and that's always a problem, or not necessarily a problem as much as just we're running out of games to really gain points from the rest of the Western Conference. Of course, a little mistakes like that will lose us points, just due to the fact that we're not necessarily being as great as we can.
Yeah, because it's... Who's that? Okay, yeah, that was Junqua. Yeah. It looks to me like both of our center backs, Castellanos and Kyle Adams, were up in the box. And to me, and I'll say it again, and my face is on the screen so you know exactly who's saying this. There is no reason why both center backs should be up there attacking a corner kick. Especially when you know that we are very vulnerable to the counterattack. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to have just your two outside backs, basically. And Junqua was way out of the picture. You had Chuy Enriquez running from one end of the field to the other, trying to get back. It's not. Everything else was good planning, by the team, and I'll give them that. But seeing how this play developed, it was like a me moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I 100% agree. You should not necessarily have two center backs going up for a corner kick, especially when it's your corner kick. Why? Just due to the fact you're tied 1-1. That's already enough as it is. And, I mean, saying this now, realizing it, that's kind of on the coach because, of course, the tactics. It comes back to coach and, well, you don't need to send everyone forward, especially given the fact that that was in still the 50th to 60th minute at least.
No, that was still in the first half.
Still in the first half.
The goal was scored in the 20th minute. This was the 20th minute.
Forgot about
There
that.
was no need to be that aggressive.
No. You're at home, you know how capable you are and stuff like that. So it's just, I mean, yeah, that right there. Sorry, not sorry though. It's the coach's fault. I mean, the players are just following the game plan. You don't need to send everyone up, especially center back can stay back and also defend a counterattack that you know can happen time and time again, because we've seen it ourselves. Even for this Toros team, we can be so well on the counterattack as well. Look at what happens if, let's say, our center back is back where he's necessarily supposed to be on defense, whether it being Kyle Adams or whoever, being right there, being able to steal the ball back and maybe setting up something going the other way once again off of a corner. We already know that we're probably not going to score a header into the back of the net. That's just the way that it goes for us. But we know that we for sure have an opportunity to get a counter and probably have a better opportunity on the other side of the field.
I appreciate the aggressiveness to try to get the winning goal. But like many coaches have said, you know, this is like a game of chess. You got to know when to be aggressive. You got to know when to bide your time. And 20th minute seems, you know, if it was like against Real Monarchs, where it's the 85th minute and you're down 5-3. Okay, you're trying to salvage something. Okay, I can definitely agree, because at the end of the day, whether you lose by 2 or you lose by 1 goal, you're still losing 3 points. So you have more to win than you have to lose. But when you're tied, you still have 20 minutes to find the winning goal. And the Toros at that moment, the Toros had their momentum in their favor.
Yep.
To me, there was no need to I don't know if it's by design, by coach, or it's just the players being a little bit too aggressive in that aspect. That, you know, I would love to have to have just a casual chat, you know, with coach over a couple of beers, you know, discussing some tactics, you know, that we see, you know, kind of casual, you know, just a discussion, not necessary, because the last thing we want to come across is a bunch of know-it-alls, because we're not know-it-alls. There's a lot of stuff that we do not know about soccer, especially when it comes to actually leading 11 plus young men, you know, to control their egos, to control their tempers, yada, yada, yada. But it's one of the things, like I said, it's one of the things that what we do talk about on this show, it's things that stand out that just doesn't seem right in the eyes of the fan. In the eyes of the fan. May I have to make that clarification. And those plays right there where we, you know, when it comes to attacking the corners in our favor, it just doesn't. It's failed us more than it has benefited us, I think. And hopefully it's one of the things that we can see and we can continue to improve. It's a huge. I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to. It's learning curves. It's growing pains for coach in his second year, mind you, as a professional level coach. For the players, whether it's their first or second season as a professional as well as for us who are in this, you know, talking about soccer, talking about tactics, talking about the team whatsoever. There's still a lot that we need to learn about. Maybe we may make some assumptions regarding these that really isn't the case. But it's things that we need to talk about, that we need to clarify, that we need to bring out, because it has affected us negatively. And hopefully, we can improve on this and make this team much better than we're currently at right now. I don't know if this year we're going to make playoffs. I think this little rut that we landed in came in a really bad moment in the season to kind of salvage something. There's still a lot of games ahead. Let me count them. To try to salvage something, but right now the Western Conference is so competitive that we might be looking at another year without playoffs. We got Colorado, San Antonio, got El Paso, Austin Bold, Tulsa, Sacramento in Sacramento, Fresno, Real Monarchs, Orange County, New Mexico United, OKC Energy, and Portland Timbers 2. We have 12 games left. There's 36 points left in the season. So there's still time to salvage a playoff spot. It's a lot of games. 36 possible. I'm not saying, we're going to win all of them. We're not Phoenix to go into a 13-game winning streak or whatever. But if you look at the standings right now in the Western Conference, the Toros right now are in 15th place. We're 6 points behind 10th place, which is El Paso Locomotive. It's 6 points. San Antonio was able to make up, 7 points behind us or something? They were 6 points behind us, and now they're 4 points ahead of us. So with just one good streak, we can get by and get back into playoff positions. But it's going to take for the team to analyze their mistakes, and fix it, because this team is good. The potential is there. That play by Andres Arcila was a beautiful golazo. We made Reno 1868 look silly in the second half, and I still feel if we had better opportunities and goal, we could have won this game. We could have made a statement. That could have put us, that getting a win or at least a tie. Yet we still would have been in 15th place, but we would have been much closer to 10th place, much closer to playoff spots than we're currently at right now.
Yeah, and we know that, 1 point could have been closer, but also it's not necessarily time to experiment just yet. Yes, we do want the answer of really why we pushed everyone forward in the 20th minute. But, of course, just no reason to really experiment. Just go on as planned, as they would say, really, because...
Don't let it stop you.
Exactly. Because we could still... we're going to, for sure, going to be able to, I feel, salvage some points on the road in the upcoming week or two.
It's an analysis that we're making. You can choose to take it into consideration. You can choose to completely ignore it. We respect that decision. It's just something that we're looking at. Being there on the stands, being there up in the press box, or watching it on ESPN Plus, that makes us think like this is the second time that we've fallen through it. If there's a good reason why it's designed like that, then go ahead. Maybe it's growing pains. Maybe it's the players that need to understand that tactic better, where to position themselves.
Yep.
Don't let us stop you from developing them like that. You're Coach Echeverry's the coach. We're not. We're just a couple of fans eating ice cream or drinking water or drinking whatever you want that are talking about the match, you know. But it is something that kind of catches our eye, and I think it's better to mention it to you guys so you guys can understand what's going on as well, rather than going all full Junior Gonzalez and say, oh yes, everything is excellent, everything is going so great. It's not as bad. It's not bad, but we're not going to say that everything is perfect, that the Toros are making no mistakes. Who are we gonna kid? Who are we gonna kid when we're in 15th place in the Western Conference? If we say, this team is great, the results say otherwise. It's up to us to say why this team is where it's at right now. What has affected this team? Whether it's the dynamo, whether it's some tactics, whatever. Because I keep on going back to the point that local media does not analyze the game in depth. Why? Because there is no ratings in doing so. There's no demand for it. Very few people in the Rio Grande Valley, and I'm just talking about Rio Grande Valley, very few people in the Rio Grande Valley want to care about the Toros in depth like we're doing. Take time, they don't have time for that, or it's not something. It's not like in Monterrey, Mexico, where there's a station dedicated to Tigres and Rayados 24/7 to talk about the team, to talk about tactics, to talk about decisions, to talk about what the coach said, what they do in practice, what they don't do at practice. Why? Because the culture of soccer fanatism in Monterrey has developed so well that there is a market, that there is a need for 24/7 soccer talk. The RGV does not have it. Yeah. That's why the media doesn't do it. That's why there's very few programs out there from typical media that go past, if any, that go past the Toros, they lost 2-1 against blah, blah, blah. Their next game is next week against blah, blah, blah. And that's it. I'm sure there's people out there. I'm sure Pedro Leja. I'm sure Carlos Justis or Carlos Revelo or whoever is out there that sports, that covers sports and are soccer fans. I'm sure they would love to talk about that. And I would love to have them on one day on this show just to talk about Toros in depth. But sadly, the market for RGV for that kind of talk in traditional media is close to non-existent.
Yeah, and so we're your only hope for in-depth. But, of course, it's not as in-depth as we could get, I guess.
Yeah. And, and I appreciate all of you guys that are watching right now. We got 3 people watching. I truly appreciate y'all's support and listening to us talk and everything. But it's shown to be a much bigger challenge than I anticipated to get people buzzing about the Toros outside of the 90 minutes of game day. And it's sad, but it's going to take the team to get better, the team to be more involved. It's going to take a bigger effort from us as down in the valley to get our brand out there. Frankly, time that I don't think we have, to invest in it. And and the current fans right now also to go, to be more proactive in talking about this and learning about this team. I was saying yesterday in Generation Orange when I was talking about the Toros, not yesterday, on Tuesday, as I was heading, and I think I told you that as I was heading into the stadium, there was a lady, there was a family actually, right? They were waiting to get inside the stadium, and I'm assuming I guess they had invited some friends from Mexico to the game. And, it's the typical, the typical conversation. Oh, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And here was the question: is this team good? Right away, the guy who had invited everybody, he's like, no, this team isn't good. This team loses a lot. There's two things to get out of this. Number one is, yes, they're not doing great, but do you know why they're not doing great? Yep. And number two, and this goes to the players. We love the teams that go out there the fans that go out there to the stadium, that take the time to go in or week out to the stadium. They show that they love you, guys. They love the team. But it's kind of sad that even those hardcores have that mentality, or have, they see you guys, they see the team as not a winning team. It hurts to hear, but like I said before, we can't kid anybody going by results. This team can be much better with this current squad, because they've shown at times that they can fight with the top, with the best of the best in the USL Conference, Western Conference. But it needs to be more consistent, and they need to learn from their mistakes if we want to be a good team. At the end of the day, and I think a lot of people aren't understanding this, is the fans want a competitive, a winning team, at least to win at home. But if you have games where you're losing leads, or you're making dumb decisions that causes you to lose a game, then people are going to get frustrated. And the players don't want that. Coach doesn't want that. The fans don't want that. We want to show this. We want to show everybody that this team is good, and can fight, even with being a farm team.
And we know that this team can fight. Of course, it's the others that, and of course you'll get those people. Even the hardcore fans will know, yeah, this team is not great. But of course, half the time when you just say that in general, yeah, of course people aren't going to necessarily come over to go watch a game or something like that. But then, when I talk about, let's say, either the Houston Dynamo, or of course, when I try to get people to go to HEB Park, yeah, of course I'm going to say, yeah, this team is not great. Why? Because they're young. And two, that's a development league in general. And three, I go there because, yeah, A, I love the team, and B, it's the experience. I have fun there. So that's what I tell people. Go for the experience. It's always a blast around there. Of course, guess who I sound like now?
Sean.
Apparently Sean, but I was going to say someone else that was from the front office of the Toros. Go there for the experience. The experience will get fans to stay. Yeah. But, I mean, it's like, yeah, that's kind of the only reason at the moment. But these players, they're going to try their dang hardest, and probably when they play fantastic football, fantastic soccer, they're going to get those 3 points. And not just then, but they know how to score goals. They can, and they will. It just will take some more time. We know these players need to mature. Houston Dynamo, of course, on the other hand, how long do those players have? How long does Chuy Enriquez have, and all these players have to necessarily mature up to a level to where they're considered great players that can play in the MLS? I say they still have, like, half the team still has over a year and a half, and I'm even still including Michael Salazar. I know people hate that, but Michael Salazar, I think they rushed him up just a bit too much from the USL and above after, of course, he had almost a career-ending injury.
This pipeline, this organization, and I'm talking about the Dynamo, not necessarily RGV, because we know Lone Star, I forgot what the actual...
What's your favorite subject to talk about?
Oh, God. Thanks for stopping me. It's a broken record. It's a horse that we've beat to death to the ground and 6 feet under. But at the end of the day, they need to mature. The Dynamo needs to mature in how they handle this pipeline. They're not doing a good job at it. And that's all I'm going to say about that subject. So anyways, I think we talked enough about the Reno match. Just anything else left to say is just pretty much, in the second half, the team continued to fight, they continued to create chances. We had 2 shots that hit the post, one by Michael Salazar off a header, and another long shot by Camilo Monroy that hit the crossbar. So we were close, but no cigar. We still lost 2-1. Now, looking ahead, we have Colorado Springs Switchbacks. No. I'm talking about the actual ownership group for the Toros. I think it's Lone Star Sports and Entertainment or something like that. Or probably I'm thinking of Spurs Sports and Entertainment, but in that last 2 things. But it's Lone Star Entertainment Group or something like that. But they're the owners. They handle the business side of the Toros. The Dynamo handle the technical side of the Toros. And right now the technical side has left a lot to be desired. But yeah, looking forward, this Saturday, the Toros visit Colorado Springs Switchbacks in Colorado Springs. What are your preliminary thoughts about this match?
My preliminary thoughts are, well, this is a game that's not necessarily a must-win, but it's a game that the Toros can really play well and really show that they're a team to beat, really. Mm-hmm. This is a game that we've seen how, of course, both teams are doing at the moment. And we know Colorado Springs, I forget exactly what position they're in the Western Conference, but if I'm not mistaken,
16th.
It's not too well.
They're the one. They're right below us. They're 2 points below us.
So yeah, in a way, this could be a must-win game, just in general, for us to continue this moment. I guess really it's a must-show result. Yes, of course, that will benefit. That's kind of like the win-win factor for both teams. Of course, one team is really just, you got to win the game in order to improve and have a chance at playoffs. Now, Colorado Springs, we know they can be a fantastic team. Same thing with the Toros. It's just both teams have to show up.
To me, this match, the Toros need to take advantage of this opportunity to get a breath of fresh air going into the San Antonio match. Colorado Springs is not a team you would expect to show great football or great soccer. They are good at home. Their record at home this season, they are at a 5-6-1. They have won 5, lost 6, and tied 1. So still kind of negative, but 5 wins shows that they can be decent at home. If we want to compare how the Toros do at home, the Toros are 5-4-3. So we're at a similar level at home. So it's not going to be an easy task for the Toros to win at Weiner Field. And historically, I don't think. Hold on, let me get that information. I love that information from TransferMarket.com. But yeah, if we want to get motivation to that, not only going into the San Antonio match, but also a breath of fresh air in the fight to salvage a playoff spot, this is the opportunity for the Toros to get another win on the road. All right. Transfer market values, competitions. Come on. But yeah. Here we go. So, fixtures, record versus. So, away. Only away games against the Switchbacks. We've played the Switchbacks 4 times at Weiner Field. We have won 2 of them. We've tied 1 and we lost 1. So it's a relatively positive outlook going into Weiner Field in Colorado Springs. In those matches, we defeated them 2-0 in 2016. We defeated them 1-0 in 2017. Lost against them 2-1 in 2018. Tied 1-1 against them. The second time we played them over there last season. 1-1. So the last 2 matches haven't really had a positive outlook at Weiner Field. But historically, it's a stadium that you can say kind of fits the Toros well. And I know it's usually not the best of fields up there. But Colorado Springs historically really hasn't really been a good team. And like I said, the Toros need to take advantage of it if they want motivation going to the rest of the season. Especially when you got San Antonio right after.
And we all know what happened the last time we played there. That was in preseason, and it was a crazy scoring game. Of course, yes, that's preseason, but still. It shows you where the Toros were even at preseason, how many goals that they were able to score to, of course, now. Mm-hmm. So it always we can revert back to that and say that scoring or how many goals they scored in preseason is still possible to this day, is still possible for every single game. We can score 3 goals a game without any problem. It's just you got to hit your marks. You got to hit the cross nice. You got to head the ball nice. You got to defend well, as well as get the counter going on. And just a couple of players in general have left since then. But we've seen that we can work without those players fine. So, I mean, what else is there to say besides we can win on the road, especially, and we can score goals. And that's, of course, like every single interview that I think I've seen in the past month with Coach, especially when we've lost, is what needs to be better. And he instantly says, we just need to score goals. Yeah, but of course, how do you score goals? You hit your marks, you hit the crosses correct, and I think that can really benefit if we do that, as well as, of course, just being able to, well, play beautiful football, beautiful soccer.
I'm looking at the last. So play has started once again in NYCFC. It's 57th minute. But I'm looking at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home matches. So I'm looking at the last 5 home matches this season for the Switchbacks. Saturday, June 22nd, lost 2-1 against Real Monarchs SLC. July 4th, lost 2-1 to Orange County SC. July 13th, defeated Tulsa Roughnecks 1-0. July 20th, defeated OKC Energy 1-0. And then tied yesterday, tied 2-2 against Portland Timbers 2. So you look at this, and my biggest reaction to this is that Colorado has earned their wins against lesser teams, not including Fresno. I think Fresno was an outlier in this observation that I'm making. But other than that, the wins that they've gotten have been against lesser teams. Tulsa Roughnecks. Which was the other one? I was thinking of Tacoma Defiance, but that's because the home game previous to Real Monarchs in looking at 6 games before, they defeated Tacoma 3-0. But Tulsa Roughnecks, OKC Energy as well have been wins for them. But when they go against better teams, they haven't gotten a decent result. Orange County, Real Monarchs, and Portland Timbers 2. Do you think the way the Toros have been playing, do you think that we can translate this into a win against Colorado Springs this Saturday?
I for sure believe so. Why? Just due to the fact we're still playing really good soccer. It's just those small mistakes. And I said it before, even 2 weeks ago, or last week, that because it was against Las Vegas, that's right, that was the last Toros match before, of course, Fresno. Mm-hmm. If Las Vegas was San Antonio or even the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, that could have been a win. And I still believe that right now. If Fresno FC was one of those teams, we probably would have won that game. Of course, yes, home games are a bit different. But even on the road, I think we would have been able to get a result against Colorado Springs. So now, of course, that we play them this upcoming Saturday, I still believe. I really do believe that this team has enough momentum to get that win.
Now, we have to take into consideration these factors. The altitude, which means that there's less oxygen for these players, to breathe, and it's going to be difficult for some of them. We had that. You make that expression, but we've had that problem in these past couple of times. Players getting tired really easily, players kind of heaving to trying to get oxygen. Another issue is with the altitude, the density of the air is less, which means there's less air resistance on the ball, which means that the touch that you normally make in the Rio Grande Valley to get the ball from point A to point B, if you try to do the same touch, the same strength of the touch on the ball at Colorado Springs, you're going to overshoot it. Mm-hmm. So they need to adapt to that. The pitch is going to be a factor as well. Right now, we don't know. I need to see. Let me check out the the highlights for that match against Portland Timbers 2 to see in what state the field is. Because previous games, in fact, that 1-1 draw, that pitch was so bad. Although I don't think this time it's going to be as big of a factor because it looks really decent. Like the field looks really decent. Mm-hmm. In that 1-1 match, it was like the pitch was so dried out. There were some bald spots here and there. The bounce was horrendous. Yep. And I think on this one it's gonna be better suited. I dare to say right now it kind of looks like, or maybe even a little bit better than how HEB Parks looks right now, and it looks really good at HEB Park. So hopefully that's not going to be a factor, but the climate factors, the as far as the air density, the amount of oxygen in the air, those are going to be factors, especially when it comes to what in the world was that? Oh, and they actually scored off an indirect free kick. But those factors and the fact that this team does not have the budget to take this team, 2 or 3 days before match day to get accustomed to the climate in Colorado Springs. And it's not the team's fault, In the USL, budget is very limited, so you cannot. Teams don't have that luxury to come in beforehand to train in those weather conditions and get accustomed before game day.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be tough. But even with those factors, I still think we can get a 2-1 win.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, you brought up some good points. The good news is, I want to go back to what you said about the touches and stuff. Good news is they're already overshooting their crosses. They're sometimes already overshooting their touches. So they can already limit those in practice. I think we'll be fine. And like you said, I really do think that, it's going to be, I think that we can get a win. And of course, even getting a result is great. But I still think that we can get the win, but showing that we can pull out even a tie on the road, especially before a San Antonio match, with the lineup that we've got, especially in tougher conditions, is going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. Because that's just like you said, that's a big confidence booster. Yes, you get 3 points. That's amazing. I'm kind of repeating myself, but it will just be on another level that we did not necessarily expect. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, to just a degree of we're playing against our rivals at, of course, a worse field than we'll be playing up there. It will kind of be the same as in the way that the ball will travel. But it's just going to give us a good boost to where our mental state will be fantastic to play against the rivals. So getting a result is key.
I can definitely agree with that. So I set my regular prediction. What is going to be yours?
I think a little 4-3 action. 4-3 action for a regular prediction. I think that we won't have Nico Cordy in at goal. As I almost just watched NYCFC score a goal there for a second. But I think that we'll probably have someone like Michael Nelson in at goal. Mm-hmm. And we'll see a couple of goals get by him. Actually, 3 goals get by him, but our offense will be able to show up and score 4. That's my regular prediction.
Wow. Bold prediction now. And you guys in the chat, you guys are very welcome to give y'all's predictions as always. Bold prediction for me, no Sam Junqua for starters.
That's extremely bold.
We do see Eric Bird make the travel, and I think we're going to see Michael Salazar travel again. I don't know if he traveled with the Houston Dynamo. I know he's not on the bench today against NYCFC. And if that
he could travel to Philly, though.
Yeah, he could travel to Philly. That's the thing. I don't know who exactly traveled. But I do see that. My bold prediction is no Sam Junqua. We do see Bird. We do see Michael Salazar. And 4-1 is going to be in favor for the Toros.
Mm-hmm. I guess bold prediction for me is we see Ronaldo Pena.
Oh.
Which is big because we will already have will already have their new
Christian Ramirez.
Well, yeah, exactly. Christian Ramirez, which I forget which position he's going to fill.
He's a striker.
But I think, yeah, exactly. There's talks that we'll probably not see, at least this is what I think, we probably won't see Ronaldo Pena anymore, since that's probably where he's going to fill up that gap and then, of course, challenge Mara Manotas for that spot and any of the other Hondurans.
Because right now at striker, we already have Mauro. We have Christian Ramirez and Michael Salazar. And Ronaldo Pena has pretty much slipped in the squad roles, for the Houston Dynamo. So I do have a feeling we might see, if it's not Michael Salazar, we might see Ronaldo Pena.
Yep.
Frankly, I'm not happy with that idea.
Of course not, because he hasn't been playing, nor has he been playing well. And
even with RGV,
when he was down here playing well with us.
And even with RGV, like Ronaldo Pena, to me, it seems like he takes it too lightly when he's with RGV.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Like, he's gone for most of the match. You don't really see him appear, which is difficult in and of itself, playing with players you've never played before.
Of course.
Which is difficult enough already as it is. But at least, with Eric and Juan David, when he's played, at least you see, what's his name, Junqua? They're making an effort to to put in, make a difference in the squad. You're already playing, all right, I'm gonna play what I know I should play, and I'm gonna make a difference. What's the biggest thing that Ronaldo Pena has done with the RGV? Miss a penalty against Orange County.
Yeah.
Other than that, the times he played, to me, it seems like we're playing with one less. And it sucks to say it, but you would expect that even with that, you would expect Dynamo Loanese to make a bigger impact on this team. Everybody else has made a bigger impact. Even Sam Junqua has made bigger impacts. He's improved. This match against Reno, other than that second goal, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But Ronaldo Pena needs more time to understand how RGV plays, how his teammates are, how Chewy move positions himself, how Camilo positions himself, where to be exactly in the box, where to position yourself to be able to receive and score. Yeah. Right now, there's a lack of communication between Ronaldo Pena, when he's played, between Ronaldo Pena and everybody else. Why? Because he doesn't know how to play. Not that he doesn't know how to play. Sorry. He doesn't know how to play in the RGV system.
Yep.
Why? He's not given the minutes to learn it. Mm-hmm. And that's why he looks off. That's why he doesn't appear. He's lost.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He's just lost with both systems. He's just slipped way too much. And then, of course, back to what you were talking about with Sam Junqua. believe that's
By the way,
the official way to say
but
Yunkwa.
Yonkwa?
I believe so. I think, shout out to Ronnie for telling me, I believe that's how you pronounce
Yonkwa.
his name. Yunkwa.
Good to know. By the way, it turns out apparently I was nominated. Unanimously as the Sam Yonkwa fan club president, according to Dynamo Discord. So that's interesting, and I'll gladly take the responsibility. But yeah, anyways, going back to your point.
Yeah, that was one of his better games. Even Coach agreed on that note that besides, of course, that goal and whatever, Yunkwa had a great game. Or, okay, maybe not that much praise, but it was a better game from him, and he's starting to learn, of course, the RGVFC system in a way, and starting to kind of mature. And this is what we kind of want from these players, is to start to see some type of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And very impressive, especially from him. I know sometimes we don't go lightly on this show for players, and I think one of them is him. And to be fair, that was one of his better games, and excited to see more of that type of momentum from that player, skill from that player. Of course, if it goes back to, if he's not in this lineup, will he be in Houston's lineup? And that's probably, well, if he is, especially in Philly or the next weekend, then he'll probably be on the bench. So he needs the playing time, especially to mature more.
I still feel that it's a little bit unjust, unfair to Robert Coronado.
For sure.
Since he was doing so well. I understand that, yeah, Junko has improved considerably since he started the season. But I still feel like it could have been, if there was some actual competition involved between both players. And that, what I mean by that is being able to fight for that starting position during the week in practice. I think it'd be better, because granted, Robert Coronado has taken it so well, and he understands that he's got to be patient about this. To me, it's other players. Just take a look at Manny Padilla, who is now with New Mexico United.
Still in the USL, by the way.
Anyways, yeah. Would get frustrated at the fact that they're playing well and now I'm benched just because this guy's coming in from the Houston Dynamo. I understand that frustration. But but it's the way things are in the Dynamo system, and there's really nothing we can do. Whether it's, the fact that it's something mandated by the team or not, we can only speculate, and we'd look like fools to say this is actually true, because we don't know, and it turns out it's not true. We're the one making blatant accusations without any factual evidence, and we look bad. Hey, look, it's a doggo. But the point is, I think that Robert Coronado continues to be the better of the two. And the only way for me to be proven wrong is for them to battle it out during the week, to show really who is deserving of the MLS contract. Yonkwa for being a draft pick, or Robert Coronado because he's shown to be the better defender in the USL, or none. It's fine. At least they would have a USL contract, but they would keep on fighting out, and that would drive the internal competition more. That will push each of them to be better than the other one. If in 1 week Junqua is the better player, that's going to push Robert Coronado to try harder the next week. Mauro Manoto's goal, 2-1 Dynamo, with one man down.
Let me see this, because I am watching it from the computer, and that's very delayed. Oh, wow. What a strike.
Wow.
What a strike indeed.
Boom. Oh. Woo. Copyright strike, I'll bet you anything. We're not, it's not like we're passing the whole match on this show. It was just the goal, but that was a beautiful goal. But anyways, back to my topic was, then internal competition drives players to be better. And earning a position just because you're considered an MLS French player, and you deserve that, and you're guaranteed that position, I don't think it helps. And I think the Dynamo need to understand that.
It does not. I mean, the last time that RGVFC players had competition was back close to the start of this year. And of course, you know what I'm talking about, Edson. It was Carlos Small versus Michael Salazar.
Yes.
Guess what? That benefited both of them. That seriously did. You saw, and we had talked about it at the beginning of the season as well, how, Carlos Small was in that slump, but he stayed late in the stadium after to try to just have a little shoot around because he wanted to get better as well. Why? Because Michael Salazar had his position. It benefits you. It benefits the team. It benefits both for sure. Because first off, both of them are getting, playing time in both levels, and then it's kind of building the confidence in them. So, of course, yes, it's easier to see from a fan's perspective that this thing works, but it's also.
But just take a look at the Dynamo.
It's also not blinding, basically. As in, it's kind of obvious, but not really.
You mind just take a look at where the Dynamo are at right now. Where do we have our best players? Where we have competition. Matias Vera, and with the competition from Boni, the competition from Darwin Sarin, the competition from Juan David Cabezas, Beasley and Adam Lundqvist.
Yep.
They're always at it with each other. Lundy has proven to him to be better than Beasley right now.
Mm-hmm.
But take a look. But let's take a look at the strikers. It's just Mauro. Mauro just scored a beautiful goal, but that's because Mauro is ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
Kyoto and Elise. We just started the show talking about how stupid Kyoto is sometimes when it comes with his temper. Why does he do that? Because he knows at the end of the day, even if he does stupid stuff, when he comes back, he's got his spot. He's got his spot guaranteed. So does Elise. Why? Because there's no competition. From everybody else, whether it's Tommy Mack or Martin Hairston, maybe Mames.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's the same old, same old. They can do whatever they want because they know that the team's dependent on them. So they don't care. They don't care to strive to be better. And we need internal competition to push each other up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's why you see Tyler Derrick starting behind goal in games now, because he has shaken off that rust. He's back to where he once was. Maybe he did lose something, But I mean, there's competition there. It's the same thing in RGV. There's competition at goal, technically.
Nico, Michael Nelson, Ben Willis. Let's take a look at what the competition is right now at RGV at the lines. Talked about the goalkeepers, right? Right backs. We have Andrew Samuels and Zach Jackson.
Oh, Darwin said him. You didn't just do that. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
another
Zach
player who lost his cool.
Great. Hopefully it's not a red.
Monkey.
And Zach Jackson has proven to have improved as well as the season went by. You have in the middle, you have Robert Castellanos, Connor Donovan, and Kyle Adams at center back. Hector Copete was also part of it, but he's injured. I think it's season-ending injury. I don't know what it was, but he had a surgery. And you've got Robert Coronado and Sam Junqua left back position. Geez, they just tied.
Well, at least it's not in the dying minutes.
82nd minute. And if I'm
talking
not
about
mistaken,
when they score in, extra time.
oh, okay, I see what you mean. What are the Dynamo complaining about?
Offside.
Let's see. No, that was not offside. They're complaining about something else. But we keep on going back. We keep on going back and forth between Dynamo and RGV. But in this case, it's more, there's always that stupid, thing with the Dynamo caring more about what the referee did or did not do than actually focusing on what's going on inside the match. And this goal was scored because they were all complaining to the ref about something that they thought they should have been called.
Yep.
And they get scored on.
Yep.
Oh, my God. Anyways, back with RGV stuff, just to end the show. Then you got in the middle, you've got Isidro, you've got Romilio, you've got Dunwell, you've got David Cabrera. Right now, your top two obviously are Isidro and Romilio. Then you've also got players that are coming in from the Dynamo, where it's Eric Bird, mostly Eric Bird now. So there's competition there as well, and I think it's proven, like with Chello being the engine of this team. His transition skills are amazing for it being a rookie season. He's shown a composure that of maybe like a veteran, or not a veteran, but like somebody who has been in the professional environment longer than he technically has. Out on the wings, you've got Chewy, you've got Monroy, maybe Kevin Rodriguez. My biggest concern right now is the striker position because of lack of Salazar. And Aldo still, even if he starts, actually coming back into the fold once he finishes his rehab, it's going to take a while for him to get back in rhythm. So it's still not going to be competition for Carlos Small to continue to push him. He'll have to depend on himself to push himself, as well as center attacking midfield. So, but at least this team has some sort of internal competition. Maybe not on the field or not on the training ground with the Dynamo loanees, but with those positions that we usually do not have Dynamo loanees, there is some internal competition there to strive to be better. And we have, and it's just has shown week in and week out on the pitch that technically, we have in those positions, Coach Echeverry are putting the best of what we got. And I think it's really good for us to analyze and say that coach has done a really good job, analyzing this team, and he's putting out the best out there as much as possible. So next week, guys. So next week we're gonna try to have your fan favorite Harry on the show for San Antonio Hate Week, or next week's show. So that'll be fun, and kind of as a preview for the South Texas Derby. Be sure to check us out on Tuesdays to Talk Generation Orange. Saturday at, let's see what time it is on our time for the match against Colorado. It is at...
If I had to guess, it's probably at 8-hour time.
7-hour time.
Oh, 7. Wow. Cool.
So it's at 7-hour time. Again, Colorado Springs versus RGVFC. So be sure to tune in on ESPN Plus. I'm not sure if they're going to be passing it. I think they will be, because the Dynamo play on Sunday, but I think they should be passing that away match on Somos El Valle 5.2, 1240, and Time Warner Cable, or Spectrum now that it's called. So be sure to check out the Toros, Dynamo fans as well. There's no Dynamo game that day, so at least, watch the Toros so you can understand what's going on down there in the valley. I should be working, hopefully, Saturday morning on the next episode of the FIFA Career Mode series. If you haven't watched it, I do have a playlist available for you to check it out. It's really, really fun to see the Toros in FIFA 19. So be sure to help us and support us that way. Be sure, if you haven't done so, like this video, share it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. We have a lot, like if you guys can see, we have a lot of in-depth stuff that we'd like to talk about. Even some things that I don't even have a chance to talk about in Generation Orange when it comes to like tactics and stuff like that. So be sure to watch. Be sure to help us out in that regard, RGV fans. This is y'all's opportunity to get a lot more knowledgeable, the best that we can offer, obviously, to get a little bit more knowledgeable about what's going on inside the environment of RGVFC. But more importantly, let's keep on supporting the Toros. There's good stuff to be made. Coach Echeverry is a really good coach, in my eyes. Has done wonders with this young team, and he needs our support, and the players need our support more than ever right now. There's still an opportunity to make it to the playoffs, but like we said, there are some things that need to be improved if we really want to have a bigger percentage of opportunity to make it to the playoffs. Jacob, you have anything to say before we end this?
Looking forward to the match on Saturday. Should be a good one, and of course, these players capable of getting a result, especially up in the mountains. I know it's going to be a tough one, just like you said, elevation change and all of that. But I think it's more than possible for them to get at least a result. So looking forward to that. Hopefully it does happen. And look forward to talking about this again come next week.
Of course. So next week we should be back Wednesday at 7 p.m. This week was supposed to be at Wednesday as well, but Jacob had something to do and I had a bad headache coming out of work, so I was like, I don't want to do this show with a huge headache. So we set it for today, but next week we will be back Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you guys missed any part of the broadcast, the archive will be available on YouTube as soon as the live stream ends. So be sure to check us out if y'all missed anything. But thank you all for your support. We'll see each other next week to talk more about RGVFC, and don't forget, it's San Antonio Hate Week. So have a good night, guys. We'll see each other in the next one. Take care.
You don't know
things I do to make you feel right, make you feel alright. And everything you wanna know, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Spreading for so long, spreading for so long. Do you feel right? Do you feel right? This is all I wanna know. Are you telling me